All right, and I think we're live. I was talking a little bit there to myself, thinking I was broadcasting, but I wasn't. But now we're working. I'm not very good at the live streaming yet, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't really done it much. Listen, today is a crazy day. Ron DeSantis has joined the race. We knew it was going to happen. There's no big surprise here. But it was a kind of an odd choice to use Twitter to announce. I know that it's new media. People find it a little bit fascinating. But Twitter is not, I don't know, it's not the most popular social media. It's used by celebrities and, people with like strong political opinions. An unusual choice, but of course, you've got the celebrity of Elon Musk behind you. Now, let me just present a lot of people. We got some Ron DeSantis fans in the room. I don't want to say anything terrible about Ron DeSantis because I don't hate Ron DeSantis. However, I think that the Twitter format was the wrong choice. And if you guys looked at the title for this video, for this live stream, this may have been the worst presidential candidacy announcement in the history of the country. This was an unmitigated disaster, I think, for a couple of reasons. For one thing, I don't think that Ron DeSantis has a particularly good voice. I posted this on Twitter today, and somebody wrote, he's got a voice for print, which I guess is kind of like having a face for radio. I just thought that was pretty funny. Look, I don't think that Ron DeSantis is like some kind of sleeper agent, some kind of deep state operative. I don't think anything like that. I think that he's a conservative. But he comes across sometimes as a little bit inauthentic. And this is a criticism that Trump has of him. Trump seems to believe that Ron DeSantis is a pale imitation of himself. I don't think that's quite true, but he is definitely trying to put on some kind of Trumpian type persona, and it obviously doesn't work as authentically as it does for Donald Trump. I'll get into the reasons why I prefer Donald Trump in a minute. First, no, I'm not going to tell you something. First, I would like to actually play a little bit of Ron DeSantis's announcement, and then we can go over why I don't like it. I'm not 100% sure this is going to work. I hope it will. I've never done this before. Let's give it a shot. Let's see here. All right, so I'm sharing the Twitter page. Let's hit play. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
Just canned speeches and teleprompters. It's in fact, you can tell by the some of the mistakes that it's real. So with that, I guess I should turn it over to
Well, let's see. So, Governor, there's been a lot of speculation over the last couple of months about your plans. I understand that you may have an announcement to make. We've got, I think, a record audience assembled here. Probably the biggest room that's probably ever been assembled online. What would you like to tell them?
Well, I am running for president of the United States to lead our great American comeback. Look, we know our country's going in the wrong direction. We see it with our eyes and we feel it in our bones. Our southern borders collapse. Drugs are pouring into the country. Our cities are being hollowed out by spiking crime. The federal government's making it harder for the average family to make ends meet and to attain and maintain a middle-class lifestyle. And our president, well, he lacks vigor, flounders in the face of our nation's challenges, and he takes his cues from the woke mob. I don't think it has to be this way. American decline is not inevitable. It is a choice, and we should choose a new direction, a path that will lead to American revitalization. We must restore sanity to our nation. This means embracing fiscal and economic sanity. Stop pricing hardworking Americans out of a good standard of living through inflationary borrow, print, and spending policies, and please embrace American energy independence. This also means replacing the woke mind virus with reality, facts, and enduring principles. Merit must trump identity politics. We must return normalcy to our communities. America's a sovereign country. Our borders must be respected. We cannot have foreigners pouring into our country illegally by the millions. We cannot allow drug cartels to poison our population with fentanyl. Public deserves safe communities, and law and order must be maintained in American cities.
Okay. I'm so bored that I have to stop that. You guys can go to Elon Musk's Twitter feed if you want to listen to the whole thing. I was falling asleep listening to that. Listen, I'm going to do you guys a favor here. I grabbed the little Oxford Dictionary. It's an old antique dictionary. It's fallen apart that I have on my shelf. Pieces of it are falling all over the place. And I opened it up randomly because I was thinking, you know what? I could read the dictionary, and it will be more entertaining than Ron DeSantis. Let me just really quick read a super chat here. Shane Keena writes, Bill Maher-style new rule. Never announce in a Twitter space. This sounded like a boring call-in to a failed Fox show. Okay, let me give Ron DeSantis a hint real quick. Okay, this is a kind of a bitchy thing to say, but listen to the resonance of my voice. This is a $500 microphone. You think, okay, it's kind of expensive for the average person, but for somebody whose job it is to do this stuff, this is not a huge expense. Ron DeSantis has millions of dollars for his campaign. He can afford a decent microphone. It sounds like he's using AirPods to call into Twitter Spaces. Why would you do that? It sounds ridiculous. You need your voice to sound good. He was talking like this the whole time, as if reading from a script. And my brother wrote me, and he was like, Ron DeSantis, his voice is terrible. His voice is terrible. Why would you do an audio-only announcement if you don't have a great voice? And why would you not pick a forum in which there's an audience to cheer when you announce? And then they set it up. They set it up like, hold on, somebody's texting me. Yeah. Somebody just wrote, watching the DeSantis Twitter Spaces highlight, what an S show. Yeah, exactly. Dean Jager writes, the country needs 4 more years of Trump. He's the only one brave enough to do what's needed to get our country back on track. Ron DeSantis 2028, maybe. I'm starting to think never. That sounds kind of harsh. But it's not about whether he's a good guy or not, or whether he'd be a good governor. It's about he doesn't have the he's not ready for prime time. Actually, my buddy Sebastian Gorka just posted a video saying he's not ready for prime time. And I think that that's a perfect assessment. All right, this is me reading the dictionary. I opened up randomly. This is actually 100% true. I opened this up randomly. I got to get rid of this. Hold on. This thing is just falling apart. Okay, now I've lost my place. But I had opened it up. Oh, yeah, here we go. For some reason, it opens up randomly to the word governor. That's 100% true. I just opened it up randomly today. It opened up to governor. I opened it up again. Same thing. All right. Governor, ruler, official governing province, town, executive head of each of the U.S., one of a governing body of, wait for it as I turn the page. Oh, no, it moved to grave. Sorry. Even my mistakes are more entertaining than him reading. Institution, one's employer or father, sir. Okay, now let's move on. Graffito. I've never even heard of this word. Graffito. Drawing or writing scratched on, especially ancient, wall, etc. Oh, so graffito is like, what, the plural for graffiti? Or the singular for graffiti, I guess? Graft. Shoot. Scion. Plant in slit of another stalk. Piece of transplanted living tissue. Insert graft. Grail. See, gradual. Fascinating. Grain, noun. This is a fruit of corn or a cereal, wheat or allied food grass. Refuse malt after brewing. Particle, least possible amount, unit of weight, texture in skin, wood, stone, etc. Arrangement of lines of fiber and wood. That's grain. I can read the word grain, the definition of the word grain from the dictionary, and it's more exciting than the Ron DeSantis announcement. That's how unbelievably boring that announcement was. I don't have any kind of problem with Ron DeSantis. I know a lot of people are like hardcore Ron DeSantis or hardcore Trump. I think Ron DeSantis is a good guy. I mean, I hope he is. I hope he's not some kind of sleeper agent. I don't think he is. I do think that he's more... Okay, aside from the... Let me just say this. Let me just focus real quick on the quality of the Twitter presentation. Like I said, he doesn't have the voice for audio. He didn't use a good mic. And they didn't even set him up properly. I don't know what they were thinking, but they were just kind of like, you had a big announcement. What was it, Ron? And Ron's like, yeah, I guess I'm running for president. You know why? Let me read you why. The country is going in the wrong direction. We need to do better. Joe Biden is not a good president. I would be a much better president. What are you doing? You're reading. Look, this is what they should have done. They should have had an actual host do an actual Q&A, because you know what? Ron DeSantis is pretty good on his feet. When somebody challenges him with something, his like off-the-cuff response is actually pretty dynamic and good. His reading off a piece of paper, oh my gosh. That was the worst presidential announcement in history. I think it'll go down in history as the worst. I've said it many times before, and I want to read some of you guys' comments, so go ahead and if you have something to say, please let me know. I want to know what you guys think. I don't know what replay the meme. I don't know what that means. Let me know if you guys have something to say, because most of this I want to take up with reading your comments if possible, because I'm curious what you guys have to say about all this. But let me give you the points real quick as to why I think Trump should be president again. A lot of people are like, oh, Trump didn't drain the swamp. Trump didn't build the wall. Look, nobody else proposed a wall. Nobody else we wouldn't even have known about the swamp until Trump. Hell, nobody was even talking about China as a threat until Trump came in, right? Because it comes from China. Anyway, Trump brought these things to the forefront of American dialogue, American conversation. And he didn't have a lot of time to kind of suss out who in Washington, D.C. was in the deep state. And I think there were a lot more people than he anticipated, and they were a lot more vicious than he had anticipated. And Trump, the thing is, Trump's not really susceptible to bribery. He's got too much money. I don't think they've got anything on him, right? They don't have anything to blackmail him with. And yeah, they can't really threaten him, I don't think, because I think he's got too good of security, probably. So he can't be threatened, he can't be bribed, he can't be coerced, he can't be blackmailed. And this is, I think, why the deep state hates him so much. He's not in their group, and he's willing to take them down. And they're terrified of him. They don't want to see the money stop flowing. There are so many grifts in D.C. There are so many cons in D.C. to get rich. I'm literally going to post a video tomorrow morning. And that, I suppose the word literally works there, but I wanted to emphasize. I'm posting the video tomorrow morning called "The Reason Americans Should Never Vote Democrat." And it's just a compilation. I'm going to say literally again. It's literally just a compilation of Democrats speaking. Democrat politicians, mostly, a little bit Don Lemon because it's funny. It's funny moments of them being stupid, and it's corrupt moments of them being utterly disgusting and villainous and authoritarian and awful. And I want everybody to watch this video. I want everybody to share it with all their leftist friends and their conservative friends. I want this video to go viral, because this is the kind of, the left is so corrupt. And so even some people on the right in D.C., right? They don't want Trump to be in office because they don't want to deal with his standing apart from their group, exposing their group, and potentially shutting down the flow of money, because they're getting rich. They are getting rich in D.C. They don't become politicians for their salary. They would do that job for nothing. In fact, we should probably make their salary zero and see who does it. Not Chili Boo Boo, right? Oh, not Chili Boo Boo. I recognize you. Says, look up the word senile. It should have a picture of everyone's favorite president. That's actually pretty funny. I should have looked up senile. But this is not about Joe Biden. This is about Ron DeSantis. Somebody wrote Ron DeSnooze Fest. Yeah, more or less. I'm not getting a lot of super chat, so I'll try to read like your regular post. But reading regular posts is actually vaguely difficult because I can't tell who's like just talking whatever, and it's weird. Like even like $2, I can kind of see who's got something relevant to say. But anyway, yeah, I don't emphasize the super chats. I don't try to make money on these live streams, and so. But if you guys have stuff to say, I want to see it. Patty Leather writes RFK Jr. 2024. I disagree with that. I still think RFK is essentially deep down a leftist. I just think that he's anti-vax. So he's not necessarily anti-vax, but like vax skeptical or whatever. So he's got that kind of conservative bent. He's also got a couple other conservative things, but to me, he's a little bit too lefty on, say, like climate change and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm trying to read some of these. Okay. So here's the thing. Can Ron DeSantis be bought? Can Ron DeSantis be threatened? Can Ron DeSantis be blackmailed? I don't think he can be bought. And it's not because he's like independently wealthy. I just think it's because I hope that he has moral fortitude, right? He's not the kind of person that would be bought. However, I do think that it's possible that he could be extorted, blackmailed, and I really think it's possible for him to be threatened. You know, anybody who has some people they love in their lives, if you're not a billionaire and you don't have like the best security in the world, it's relatively easy to threaten you because, you know, if somebody's out there with the ability to kill or harm your family, you know, what are you going to do? Double D Homestead, I don't know what that means, but okay. She says she gave me $2 so that she could say something that I would notice, I guess. And she's written, can't say. I think she's saying China. Can't say China without Trump's emphasis. I know. Actually, there are friends that I have that literally every time they say China, they go China. They try to do a Trumpian type China because it's become such a thing now. Mildred Orender writes, Trump never turned his back on us, and he's still fighting for us. I'm not going to turn my back on him. Well, that's the thing. I don't really understand. Somebody wrote disaster. Yeah, the DeSantis Disaster. That's actually what I should have titled this video. That's a good one. Dang it. Don't you hate regret like that? Anyway, can't live with regret about things that are stupid, right? Just regret the horrible mistakes that you've made in life. That's my theory. Everybody's like, I live with no regret. And I'm like, then you're a sociopath because I've done some horrible things. All right. Dean Jager writes, Adam Calhoun for vice president. Thoughts? Oh, no. How do I not? I don't really know who Adam Calhoun is. Okay, now I have to look this guy up. Thanks a lot. Calhoun. Who am I? Who are we talking about here? Born 1980, American rapper and singer, songwriter and comedian. He's active on social media. Most successful album in collaboration with Tom McDonald. I wish I knew who that was, man. I'll have to listen to some of his stuff in the future. Dalton Peterson writes, Trump could be bought and threatened too. Dude is not indestructible. I agree with that as possible, but he was in office for 4 years, and they're desperately trying to stop him from running again. So, to me, that is an indication that he is the biggest threat to them, and he's the person that is clearly the most difficult for them to get to. Because if they could get to him, I don't think that they would be so vehemently against him. Let's see. Chaz S. gave me $10, but he didn't write anything. He just wrote super sticker. I don't know what that means, but thank you, Chaz S. If you have something to say, I'll try to find it in here. sometimes I don't know what the deal is. I've never done a super chat myself. I should probably do that so I know how it works. But sometimes people put in money and then they don't write anything, and I think it might be an accident. Alex McMeekin. Gotcha. Alex McMeekin writes, DeSantis announcement all seems scripted. Elon used him like a test rocket. A test rocket that exploded. Elon bought him with the audience. DeSantis discount debut. Yeah, and you know what? It crashed the servers or whatever. It crashed Twitter. He had like 600 and some thousand people watching or something like that. But if he went on TV, he would have had millions, you know. I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't think Twitter is as big of a platform as people think that it is. Yeah, it's a fairly decent size, but it's not like Facebook used to be. Facebook used to be a kind of social media where literally everyone was on it. You had young people on it. You had middle-aged people on it. You even had grandma that was joining Facebook. Now Facebook's kind of dead. Andre Velasco. Nice to see you, buddy. Somebody who watches the show who has my phone number, so he texted me. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a really funny super chat that you've got there. DeSantis, Elon bottom with the audience discount. DeSantis discount debut. Look, it used to be people would announce sometimes on like late night shows. That was fairly common, or news networks. I think somebody announced on Tucker Carlson once. Big platforms are decent, but I think Trump tends to do it right, where he'll announce at like a rally. And the reason I think that that's the best way to do it is because whatever the footage is of you announcing, you got the whole audience going, ah, yeah, and it's a lot of fun, and you can feel the energy of the crowd. If you're in like a small studio, right, like a late night show, you got a relatively small crowd, and you can hear the energy, but it's still a relatively small crowd. If you're in a stadium or you have one of those big venues that Trump gets, that's the way to go. If you can fill a stadium, that may be the problem that DeSantis has. I would imagine if he was in Florida, he could have filled a stadium. I don't get it. I don't understand why he did Twitter. I think Elon Musk is a convincing guy. He was obviously able to create a few very successful businesses and get people to finance his different things that he wants to do with his life. And he's become, the richest man in the world. So he's obviously a very convincing person. And for him, I don't know what advantages he told DeSantis that he would have, but this was a mistake. Alaskan Sauce writes, do you think Trump can take it all the way? Who would he pick for VP? Who's his greatest adversary? Cheater Dems, love your work. Keep it up. Thank you, Alaskan Sauce. I think Trump not only can take it all the way, I don't think he's stoppable at this point. He's a juggernaut. I don't think he's stoppable. I don't think anyone can stop Trump. Because I don't know if you've been watching, I saw him at CPAC this year in person, and actually Gorka took me backstage, and I shook his hand and shared a few words. It's really brief, but I actually got to meet Donald Trump. That was kind of interesting. Very gentle guy, much more genteel than you would think from his speeches and stuff like that. But that speech was monumental. That was like Trump 2016 again. That was like top level Trump. He was on point. I think Trump has kind of reined in his antics and kind of being crazy a little bit, and he's kind of a much more on point now. And then if you saw that CNN town hall, oh my, man, he just took out the moderator, who was just really annoying. He just took her out, and everything that he said was perfect. Every response he gave to every answer was perfect. I have a breakdown of it. You guys should watch it. It's fantastic. I have two breakdowns. One is about how much he was interrupted. So it's just like a super cut of how often he was interrupted. And then the other video is a sort of breakdown of how CNN was trying to rig the town hall against Trump, and Trump still came out way on top. It totally backfired on CNN. Emily C. gave me $20. Thank you, Emily C. And she writes, participants seemed more into Elon than DeSantis. Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I didn't really think about that, but on Twitter, hundreds of thousands of those people watching DeSantis were probably there for Elon Musk, or at least partly so. So you certainly would have had the Elon Musk hardcore fans. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's a good point. Dean Jager writes, thank you, Dean Jager. Dean Jager keeps coming in here. Haven't heard from Valeria in a while. I missed the TM podcast. Any chance that'll come back? Valeria hates being on camera. Hates it. We had a long discussion about it, and she never wants to be on camera again. She never wants to have anything to do with being in public, basically. So that's the agreement that we made, essentially, which is kind of funny. Like in LA, like beautiful women tend to like the limelight, right? That's pretty typical of almost every girl I've met in LA. But occasionally you meet somebody who really doesn't like it. Let's see here. Mike Shaw responds, Trump's record is way too strong. The Abrahamic Accord, yes. Everybody forgets about a lot of his accomplishments, including that one. That was a phenomenal achievement, and it's just forgotten. A lot of what Trump did was forgotten because of the scandals, and they were manufactured scandals. I think that the Durham report ended up being a lot better than I thought, and it wasn't. What's weird about the Durham report, it's not that much more information than we got from the previous Mueller investigation, but for some reason, the left is accepting it. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, and I was like, why is the left all kind of going, okay, now that we got the Durham report, now we agree to all this stuff. The only revelation from the Durham report, as far as I can tell, was that Obama was briefed about it. So Obama has to go to prison as well, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't really. I think what's happened with the left is that reporters, after the Mueller report, they all kind of slowly, because if you're a reporter and you actually study politics and pay attention to this stuff, you know that was all a con. So every leftist out there knows that was a con. And I think that as much as they don't mind lying to the American public, there are certain egregious lies that are so vicious, not vicious, but so ridiculous that a lot of other news can't be properly expressed or discussed without accepting this very obvious truth. And so I think for a lot of times this idea that, we can't acknowledge that the Russian collusion thing was a hoax, I think that really hamstrung a lot of reporters, and that was really frustrating for them. And so now on the left you have this mixed bag of some journalists are saying, yes, the Durham report absolutely proves that the Trump-Russia thing was just a hoax by Clinton and the FBI. And then you have others who are saying, oh, no, this doesn't prove anything. This does nothing. But with like Jake Tapper was kind of acknowledging, this makes the FBI look terrible. And I just got the sense that some reporters are just fed up with that particular lie. They're just sick of telling that lie. And they kind of look at the Durham report as an excuse to finally tell the truth. They're like, oh, thank God, we can kind of just put this to rest and move on from this. We don't have to keep lying about Russian collusion. I mean, how long can you go on about that? Okay, Mike Shaw goes on. He written a lot of stuff here. Abrahamic Accord, yes. Destroyed ISIS, true. Remain in Mexico policy, fantastic. I mean, the whole border, all of his border policies were phenomenal, and they got rid of them. Just unforgivable, really. Lowest unemployment rate ever for blacks, women, #MAGA, Make America Great Again. Yeah, if some leftists, if some sensible leftists would just come on board and say, you know what, Trump actually did a pretty good job. I think Van Jones said this on CNN, and I think he was probably suspended after that. I'm not sure. Van Jones actually said, credit where credit's due, Trump actually did some good things for the black community. Like, Trump gave an unbelievable amount of money to historically black colleges. And that actually annoyed the crap out of me because I hate the concept of historically black colleges. I hate that you give money to them. Like, look, I think that you should give money as a people privately. You should give charitable donations to groups that are an actual need, groups that have need, groups that are vulnerable or victims of something, or even just bad luck. I think private individuals should, out of the goodness of their heart, give money. This is what always was happening throughout, European history. And then we get this idea of, well, actually, no, nobody should give money out of the goodness of their heart. We should all be forced to pay taxes, and then the government should decide who is the victim. Well, the government isn't very good at deciding who's the victim. So a lot of people are getting money that shouldn't be getting money. All right. Alex McMeekin, I got your name right this time. Alex McMeekin comes back in and he says, Spaces only supports 420,000 users. Elon 68'd DeSantis and owes him one. 420? That seems like a made up number. I don't know if that's true. That's interesting. Kant Breverman, which I think is a joke name, I'm not sure, writes, Trump 24. He needs to gain his 2016 edge back, but Ron has zero edge. Establishment approved talking points, and that's it. Establishment fears Donald Trump. Yeah, you're 100% right. I don't know why Ron DeSantis is so boring. I illustrate at the top of the show, if you're just tuning in, I illustrate at the top of the show, reading the dictionary is more entertaining than listening to Ron DeSantis announce his presidency. Let's see here. Chili Gunslinger writes, DeSantis could be a good president after the deep cleaning that Trump will execute. I don't think that he has the backbone to stand up against the uniparty. I don't know if DeSantis has the experience, knowledge, or understanding about how to deal with the uniparty. I think Trump does. I think Trump has a lot up his sleeve, ready to go day one. I think he's ready to fire everybody at the top level of the FBI. I think Trump is ready to clean house and knows how to do it. I don't know why anybody would think DeSantis would be better. I think people are like, oh, DeSantis because he can win. You don't think they're going to smear DeSantis like they smeared Trump as soon as if he gets the nomination? It's not a good idea going to DeSantis. Fart Sausage, yes, I said your name, Fart Sausage, writes, do you think that the left will force us to our last option? I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibilities. I'll just say that. I'm not sure how that would be organized. I think it would have to be some kind of military-civilian collaboration. You'd have to have the military involved, I think, for that to work. Some kind of military thing. I'm not sure how that would work, though. It's hard for me to visualize that happening in America. That's such a big deal, you know. Mrs. T. Rush, good friend of the channel. Nice to see you, madam. She says, we voted for DeSantis to be our governor, and he shouldn't divide the vote with Trump. He easily could have waited until 2028 after his 2 terms were over. I'm unhappy about this. You know what's weird is I never really loved DeSantis. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I never loved DeSantis. And I think the reason I never loved DeSantis is just I don't really like his voice, and I just don't like his personality. And because it's a personality thing, full disclosure, it's totally a personality thing. I overlook it and I say, what is DeSantis actually doing policy-wise? What are his words? What is he saying that he believes? And I'm dismissing my personality distaste of DeSantis, and I'm saying DeSantis is all right. I like DeSantis. I like DeSantis on paper. I don't really like watching him speak or hearing his speeches. However, he's done a great job in Florida. And he could potentially be a good president. I don't know. It's hard for me to know at this point. I don't think I have enough DeSantis understanding, knowledge about him to see whether or not he'd be a good president. But I just don't think, I don't know. This announcement indicates to me he's so not ready for prime time that I can imagine somebody else coming in between now and 2028 and then DeSantis never being president. I could actually see that happening. So not only do I think that he should have waited till 2028, I think by jumping in now, he might actually hurt himself from potentially winning in 2028. We will see. Maybe he'll grow on me. Maybe we'll really like him by the end of this campaign. I doubt it, though. I think Trump's going to crush him. I think Trump's going to come out as the nominee, and I think we're all going to forget about Ron DeSantis. I think he should have just hunkered down in Florida, continued governing that state well, and waited till 2028. Erica Austin writes, the only thing that makes me skeptical about Trump is the initial vaccine push by him. Any thoughts? Yes, I do have thoughts on that because you are not alone, Erica. A lot of people are concerned about the Trump vaccine. Look, Trump didn't design the vaccine himself. Trump was taking the advice of experts. Trump got that vaccine out as soon as he could to try to free up the country and stop the lockdowns and bring back the economy and all that kind of stuff. Trump still sees that as a victory. There is debate on the conservative side between whether the vaccines are harmful or they just have a minimum amount of side effects or they were intentionally harmful. And there's a whole sort of range of views about the vaccine. Some people think that the vaccines do help you if you're, older or morbidly obese or something like that, help stop you from getting infected. Other people think they don't do anything at all. I'm of the camp where I think the vaccines were helpful, did stop very vulnerable people from being sick, but I also think they had side effects potentially. And so I think that if you're a young, healthy person, taking those vaccines would have been a terrible mistake. That's why I never was vaccinated. And I think that everybody who was young and healthy that took the vaccine, I think it was a mistake. And I think that pushing that was irresponsible by everybody involved. But Trump never pushed it on young people. Trump never pushed it on healthy people. Trump just said, look, I made the vaccine available for everybody. It was the left that kept saying, everybody's got to take it. If you're not taking the vaccine, you're killing people. You're literally killing people. So that wasn't Trump. Trump just put the legislation in place to get, what was it? I forgot the name of the operation. Operation Warp Speed. That was what it was called. Operation Warp Speed. He just got that going. He considers that a victory. I think that he's right, but it's one of those things that you can't keep bringing up because people kind of hate you for it now. But that's not really his fault. It's really the left that pushed that on us. And the left should never have locked us down anyway. The COVID virus was not as severe as they pretended that it was. It wasn't nothing. I don't think it was nothing. But I do think that it was far less severe than they pretended it was. All right. James Derryberry, $20. Thank you, James. Actually, he's given me 2 super chats. That might have been an accident. I may have to send you some money, James Derryberry. He writes, my biggest worry with DeSantis is what is he going to do with the FBI and media that wrecked public trust in regards to half of America. Vicious sedition needs to be fixed. You know what's weird about that, the whole FBI thing and Russian collusion and stuff like that? There's a lot of stuff that the left has done that's corrupt and horrible to Trump that DeSantis is going to find it very difficult to comment on because he's got to essentially support Trump. He's got to be on Trump's side. And I don't think DeSantis wants to do that. Ron, my buddy's written me, Ron Disaster does have a catchy sound to it. Yeah, Trump might take that. That's a pretty good one. The FBI does need to be fixed. I hope Ron DeSantis talks more about that. Look, from the very beginning, Ron DeSantis should have supported Donald Trump in this whole mess. In fact, every single time the media went after Trump or any single time anything bad happened with Trump, with regard to the government or the media or, the accusations of whatever, that crazy woman up in New York where that civil case. Ron DeSantis should have been 110% behind Trump, 200% behind Trump. Said, you know what? Trump is totally innocent here. This is all BS. Instead, he comes out and he says, yeah, it's BS, but you know what? I wouldn't say the things Trump said, And it's just kind of like, let me defend Trump, but also say I'm distinguished from Trump because I wouldn't get caught up in this mess because I'm better than him. Just defend him. You don't have to. I don't know. I don't think. Obviously, Trump's been kind of a jerk to DeSantis by calling him desanctimonious and all that kind of thing. But if you want to actually appear to be above Trump, just support him in, these ridiculous attacks, and don't try to distinguish yourself and say I'm better though. But I'm better. Trump got screwed. Okay, fine, but I'm still better. You don't have to put that in. You just say Trump got screwed. I support him, and that's it. Oh, I think I have some kind of label. You guys don't need my name with a label. I don't know how to fix that. Oh, wait, settings. Let's see if I can do this. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay. Layout. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, I'll fix that later. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I can turn that off. Boom. Display name. Gone. Love it. All right, I'm back. I'm back reading your super chats. Okay. Mrs. T. Rush joins in again, and she writes, for the state of Florida, he's been the best governor we've had in my 60+ years. Well, and that is true. That is true. And I understand why people absolutely love DeSantis. I do understand that. He is definitely anti-woke, or at least he's putting in very many anti-woke policies in Florida. He's hated by the left because of those policies. And so, I support him as the governor of Florida, and I support him as a politician generally. But I don't support him against Trump, I wouldn't say. I just don't think he's as good for the country as Trump is. Dr. Pibb gave me $5. Well, $10 actually. I think he made a mistake and didn't write anything in the first one. Sorry about that, Dr. Pibb. I can send you $5 if you want. He says, I would hope Trump would get Rand as a VP and Rand would take Lake in 28. Ron could have borrowed his kid's PlayStation mic for better sound. Yes! What is up with that mic? I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you've got millions and millions and millions of dollars set aside for your campaign already. I assume, right? I think he's already got campaign funds in the bag. And even if he doesn't, he's not like poor. You can buy a mic. Like, what are you doing, man? Rand Paul as VP, I actually love that idea. I love Rand Paul. I love his father, Ron Paul. I like those guys. They're true conservatives. They're libertarians, but they're socially as well. They're socially conservative, but they're very strong libertarians in the sense that they're basically for free everything. They're for legalization of everything. All right, we're out of super chat, so I'm going to the live chat. I'm just going to start reading regular. Oh no, we got one more from Eric Wrights. Eric Wrights. He says, her name is E. Jean Carroll. DeSantis is... Yeah, that's right. the crazy woman, E. Jean Carroll. I just made a video about her, and I forgot her name. DeSantis' voting record represents Florida 06. Wait, what? Representing FL 06 is all I need to be firm in my decision never to vote for him as president. Oh, okay. Day by day, I'm becoming more amenable to Meatball Ron. I don't know what FL6 is. I assume that he was some kind of like was he like a House of Representatives guy? I didn't realize that. Ron DeSantis. Let's look at his Wikipedia real quick. Looking up Ron DeSantis's Wikipedia, ladies and gentlemen. This is riveting podcast right here. Let's see. Military service, House of Representatives. Okay, he was a House of Representatives representative. I didn't know that. I didn't know his voting record wasn't excellent. I'm going to look into that, actually. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, I didn't even know he was a former representative. Wicked Felina writes, what? Come on, I love Trump's names. Sloppy Bill Barr was sheer brilliance and least commended. Sloppy Bill Barr is fantastic, actually. Wicked Felina, thank you for the $5. My favorite was always Pocahontas, and let me tell you why. My brother John brought this to my attention. He was like, Pocahontas is great because calling her that reminds everybody every single time he talks about her that she lied about being a Native American, and she's benefited from it for years. I find the whole lying thing so despicable in politics. Like, just be honest. Just tell the truth. Why do you have to be a scumbag? I just did this whole compilation video. I'm going to post it tomorrow morning. This whole compilation video of all the nasty stuff that Democrats have done. And I have a whole section on Joe Biden. And the amount of just scummy, nasty stuff that Joe Biden did early on. In 1988, he ran for president of the United States of America. And it was an absolutely abysmal campaign. Why? Because they discovered that he had cheated on he had cheated on some kind of an essay at law school. He'd plagiarized for the essay, and he said, "Well, I didn't realize I was plagiarizing. Yes, I effed up. I was stupid, but it wasn't intentional. It wasn't malevolent," he said. But then he also got caught in his speeches copying from other politicians. And his excuse was, look, I've always given credit to the people that I've referenced, but I just kind of forgot once. But it wasn't true, because actually he'd copied a lot of politicians, and he never referenced them. He never gave credit to them. And so the media found this out. and he had to drop out of his campaign for it. I mean, he's just a thief, a con man, and a liar. That's what Joe Biden has always been. And so I think we're all aware here that Joe Biden has never really been in charge of the country. He has been a puppet from day one, and I believe that was why he was chosen. He is so corrupt, and people have so much dirt on him that he is totally controllable. Joe Biden has always been the perfect puppet president for Democrats. Mrs. T. Rush comes back. She says, he's a fantastic governor. He can be a great president, but Trump is a better one. They could have been superb as a dynamic duo, Prez VP, or continue after Trump. Yeah, a lot of people did think Ron DeSantis would possibly be Trump's VP, and maybe he would have been. As soon as the Ron DeSanctimonious thing dropped, the very first, you guys remember that like a few months back, Trump called him Ron DeSanctimonious, and nobody understood where this was coming from. People were like, whoa, 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 why are we calling him Ron DeSanctimonious? Like, everybody likes Ron DeSantis. Why are you being cruel to Ron DeSantis? This seems like really, really weird. So I ended up calling Gorka, and because he's got sort of like the inside track on that. And I go, what was the deal with that? Why did he call him Ron DeSanctimonious? And he says, Ron DeSantis is going to run for president, and Trump feels betrayed, and there's basically a bunch of big money donors that have convinced Ron to sort of go against Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump went down and campaigned for him, and like he's one of Trump's guys. Trump feels like this is a betrayal, one, and two, he feels like Ron DeSantis has kind of co-opted his image. You know, Trump always had this kind of bravado and way of speaking and this like strong confidence about his positions and this sort of like toxic masculinity, the left might call it. And Ron DeSantis kind of co-opted that and made that into his style. And Trump sort of thinks that this, and this happens to me sometimes. I mean, this is kind of what happens when you're an original thinker. The original thinkers aren't always able to capitalize and make money off their original ideas. Some are, but a lot of them will come up with these brilliant original ideas, and somebody else will go, "Oh, that's a good idea. I could do a business out of that," and then they make the millions, right? So Ron DeSantis seems to be co-opting Trump's style and trying to use it. That's Trump's perspective. I think that's probably kind of accurate. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know, but you could see in the campaign announcement today that Ron DeSantis isn't really a dynamic alpha male type personality. He's a very calm, measured guy to the point of actually being boring, right? Again, I can read the dictionary, and it's more entertaining than Ron DeSantis's announcement today. Let's see here. Erica Austin has jumped in here with $10. Thank you, Erica. She writes, I understand your argument on the jab. However, the general public was skeptical before the rollout even started. Wouldn't Trump have the same information on the vaccines, if not more, that we had? Well, I don't know. I don't know that. I think he probably does have all the same information that we have, and probably more. But I think that he still has the same position that I do, which is that the vaccine was in fact valuable. It did stop people from getting sick and did stop people from dying, but it wasn't nearly as effective as anybody hoped, and there were all these side effects. But like I said, Trump didn't push it on young people. Trump needs to come out and say, if he's going to talk about the jab at all, just to put people's fears aside and assuage their concerns, he needs to say, look, I didn't think that young people should take it. And the fact that they locked everybody down and then basically said, you're not allowed to go to a restaurant unless you take a vaccine. You're not allowed to have a job unless you take a vaccine. For young, healthy people, especially people who already had natural immunity because they'd had COVID, this was way over the line. And Trump should come out and totally condemn that and say, I do think there was some value in them, but what the left did is unforgivable. We need to never in the future of America should we ever elect any Democrat to any office ever again. Jeez, I can't talk tonight. You get what I'm saying? The Democrats are just a disaster. Either they're incompetent or they are totally corrupt and evil, and they're just out for themselves. And we have to worry about some Republicans as well, who are establishment guys in D.C., but we really can't afford to elect any more Democrats. They're just a disaster. Trump needs to say something like that. I think that would assuage the concerns of a lot of people. Eric Wrights jumps in with $13. Thank you, Eric Wrights. Good picture, Eric Wrights. I don't know what that is. It's a little bit haunting, but I like it. I like it. You look good. Erica, also very beautiful picture. Eric Wrights comes in. Pocahontas would have been perfect. Regarding the voting record, from where I sit, he either voted with neocons or as a neocon. In 2013 to 2018, if it were the early 2000s, it might have been excusable. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not really a war hawk. I'm not as much of an isolationist as probably like, Tucker Carlson is like hardcore isolationist. But I'm not really a war hawk. I don't think America should go to war unless we really have to. And yeah, a lot of these neocon guys, they are part of the establishment. They do like to sort of manipulate American policy in order to keep the money flowing through D.C. to their friends. And I think that there's a lot of – this is something no one ever talks about. I think there's a lot of kickbacks in D.C. People talk about the different kinds of ways that politicians are able to make money through the stock market and things like this. Legal means of enriching yourself. They can also sell books and stuff like that. I think selling books is the best way for a politician to make money. It's totally clean, it's totally legal, and it's totally legitimate. If you want to make extra money, sell books, right? There's other legal means that are sort of like quasi shady, like giving speeches to particular special interest groups and stuff like that. To me, that's typically done out of office, but it's like with Hillary Clinton in office and her husband giving speeches, it was like, how much of that was a bribe? You know what I mean? Like, if you give Bill Clinton $1 million and Hillary Clinton has an important office, and you're like, oh, we're just giving you $1 million to speak at our thing. Now, make sure that Hillary Clinton passes this legislation or, whatever, or goes after this group that we don't like, or avoids coming after us, or whatever it is that she had authority to do at the time. That's obviously a problem. Did that happen? I don't know. But knowing the Clintons, I'm sure that kind of thing did. I felt like the Clintons were taking bribes for years. It's really crazy. I just posted this thing to Twitter of Hillary Clinton talking about, how many people conspired to destroy her in 2016, the Russians and all this kind of stuff. And now that the Bill Barr's things come out, and even leftists are saying, okay, yeah, Hillary Clinton set that whole thing up, and the FBI helped her and everything like that. It's really weird to go back and watch those interviews where she so vehemently says, I was hunted down, the vast right-wing conspiracy against me. I was the victim. Everybody was against me, and this is totally unfair. Well, actually, no, you were the only one cheating. You were the only one going after everybody in this criminal way, this corrupt way. And yet you still got obliterated. So you are just a useless piece of crap. But yeah, I don't know. Hillary Clinton, the Clintons in general, both of them, I don't know. I think they're just con artists, a lot like everybody on the left. All right, let's have a look here. Fart Sausage is back. Hello, Fart Sausage. He says, Trump deserves his revenge. That's also true. I don't think that's a good reason to vote for him, but I definitely agree with you. And he can get some pretty good revenge, because more important than him getting revenge, but although this does kind of go hand in hand, more important than Trump getting revenge is dismantling the deep state, dismantling the mechanism by which people are getting rich in Washington, D.C. You should not get rich as a politician. If you go in as a politician and you get rich, you make millions and millions of dollars, if you're not writing books and that's the only reason you're making that money, or maybe you have a YouTube channel like mine or something. Not that I'm making millions by any means, but if you don't have some other sideline business and you get rich just by being a congressman, you are corrupt. That's it. You're corrupt. I'm sorry. Wicked Felina comes back. Hey, Wicked Felina. She writes, no VP. They'll impeach Trump and put DeSwamptis in. Okay, so look, I'm not quite as against DeSantis as some people. Like, some people think, okay, DeSantis really is the deep state. He's the swamp. I think he's vulnerable to influence. I'm not convinced that DeSantis is like a swamp dwelling, politician. That's Trump's position, though. Trump's position is that, from what I understand from the people that I've talked to on the inside that know Trump and everything, Trump's idea is that DeSantis is a politician. So that means to some degree he's a bit phony. He'll basically say whatever it is that he thinks that people want to hear. I don't really like that, but at the end of the day, he seems to have the right policies, so I don't really have a huge problem with DeSantis yet. I haven't seen DeSantis do or say anything that I was definitely like, oh, he's like controlled opposition kind of thing. Double D Homestead, that name always cracks me up. All right. She writes, Trump 2024 or America falls. Falls to socialists/communists. JMHO, I don't know what that means. Oh, just my honest opinion. Figured it out. Our country is in trouble. I agree with you. I mean, we started to do this news segment. We're going to do a news segment. I'm going to throw it on Mr. Pagan. It's going to be News from the Future 2025. And it's me talking about if Biden gets elected again, what the world is going to be like. And the whole thing is basically like, this woman was arrested today for force gendering her infant child. She posted a picture on Instagram of her with her newborn baby in her arms, and the woman wrote, "Isn't she beautiful?" Well, this is obviously illegal, so the woman was immediately arrested. Her child was taken from her, and she will be executed Friday. Right? So there's all this news from the future, like this is what the future is going to be like under another Biden administration. So we'll see if my authoritarian predictions come true. I've just done a review of the movie Demolition Man, and it's startling how much of the sort of dystopian authoritarianism that was predicted in that film, which is a kind of a retelling of A Brave New World, how much of that is reflected in the Biden administration. Like, it's like they watched that movie and said, we're going to be like that. All right. Well, you guys have had a lot to say. I appreciate it. Hold on. I'm going to just check real quick. Oh, Alex McMeekin has come back. Alex McMeekin, $5. Thank you so much, man. He writes, Trump didn't know how deep the swamp was coming in. What makes you think that DeSantis does? Exactly. If you have a problem that Trump didn't do everything that he wanted to do in his first term, DeSantis is only going to be in his first term. How disorienting do you think that's going to be for him? He's got to catch up massively. I don't even think he's going to be able to do half of what Trump did in his first term. And if Trump gets in, it's his second term. So he'll know what to do immediately going in. And then Alex McMeekin writes, I'll vote for whoever promises to fire everyone on January 21st. Yeah. Fire everyone. That's such a great. We really need a complete overhaul of the federal government, and we can never elect Democrats. Democrats are poison. They are a cancer on this country. They need to be ousted from all offices, local and federal, and we just need to bring patriotic conservatives who care less about themselves than they do about the country into every single office, into every single position in Washington. And we need to figure out how to fire a lot of these like lifers that live in D.C. that can't be fired. There's certain protocols that you can't fire people. I don't believe in that. I think the president should be able to fire everybody. We got to make that happen. Eric Wrights comes back. Thank you, Eric Wrights. He keeps giving me these weird dollar amounts. He's giving me $12.37. Thank you, Eric Wrights. He writes, if I'm being honest, DeSantis is Ross Perot 2.0, and there's nothing that could compel me to vote for him as president. It's even worse somehow, since it's from within the party. He should be ashamed. You know what? You make a good point. I remember back in the old days, when Ross Perot was running, my dad was a big Ross Perot fan. He liked him a lot more than Bush. And he was this close to voting for Ross Perot. But at the end of the day, he said, well, Ross Perot can't be elected. He's going to split the vote. Clinton's going to get in. I better vote for Bush. So he voted for Bush. I think he voted for Bush. I should probably call him and ask him. So he voted for Bush really reluctantly. But it wasn't because he wanted him in office. It was because he didn't think Ross Perot could do it. But Ross Perot would have actually been an excellent president. Ross Perot was actually a very smart guy. And he was like way ahead of his time. His positions were really the right direction for the country, I think. But anyway, you're right. You shouldn't have somebody in there that's going to split the vote from the worst of two evils and bring in the worst of the two evils. Lower Road Radio gave me 99 cents but didn't write anything. I know you, Lower Road Radio. Subscribe to that YouTube channel if you guys want. These guys are pretty funny, actually, Lower Road Radio. They do a kind of podcast where they just chat about regular stuff. It's not so much about politics, but they're funny guys. Mrs. T. Rush writes, "We the people should be able to fire them." Yeah, I don't understand why there are people in Washington, D.C. that are unfireable. That's crazy to me. Okay, I don't know. Okay. Zatoikus Cane Sword. I assume that's a last name or something. Zatoikus. Right, gave me $5 and writes, "Mr. Reagan, for the next Chrissy Mayer Content House, it would be fruitful as F." I don't know what Chrissy Mayer Content House is. I'm friends with Chrissy Mayer. She just actually played one of my videos on her show. Somebody sent that to me, and it was really funny because she had a guest on who goes, "Oh, there's this new trans book out. If you guys haven't seen my review of this trans book, you guys should read that or watch that video. It's really, really funny. There's this like trans children's book, but it's critical of trans, but it's in like the Dr. Seuss style. It's very, very funny. So I read it on my show. I read the whole book on my show. It's very funny. And Chrissy Mayer went ahead. She had some guest on it, and her guest was like, "Oh, you should watch this video this guy does." And she shows the video, and Chrissy Mayer's like, "Oh, yeah, that's my friend Chris." That's kind of funny. But Chrissy Mayer's great. Good friend of mine, and she's really coming up. She's really blowing up and becoming kind of like a big deal. She's on like everybody's show doing interviews and everything. She's an interesting personality. She's a stand-up comedian, and she's really funny. I went to her show recently. Very funny. Mandrake comes out with $12.56. What's up with these weird numbers? Are these people in Canada or something? Just got to get Trump through the BS and into office. I don't know if they'll let him in again. It's getting crazy how even going to other countries, it's getting crazy now, even going to other countries to get dirt on him now. Jeez, man. Okay, I don't really understand what you're talking about there. They're going to other countries to get dirt on him. I don't know what that means. But they are desperate to keep Donald Trump out. A lot of the stuff that they do, you'll notice there's a pattern. Every time they try to impeach him, every time they try to accuse him of everything, the documents thing, almost every one of these accusations of Trump is in some way related to a statute, some kind of a law that says if you are found guilty of this, you cannot run for president. The concept of incitement of insurrection, the consequence is you cannot run for public office if you are found guilty of that. That's why they were going so hard for this incitement of insurrection thing. They could have said a coup. They could have used a lot of different kind of terms to talk about that in the media. They specifically used insurrection. You never heard insurrection until the January 6th protest, which was not an insurrection at all. But the reason they used that word was because they wanted to stop Trump from running for president, and that law would have specifically prohibited him from running for office again. So that's to me why that was all done, however way you want to look at January 6th. Alex McMeekin comes back and he says, "Thanks, man. I mean, this is like your whole salary for the week, I feel like." He writes, "If you feel like helping a little guy out today, I have been banned on Twitter for 11 weeks, referring to the Tennessee shooter as a terrorist. Twitter jail sucks." I don't understand. I don't understand. If somebody is a shooter and they're terrorizing people by shooting up a school, doesn't the media call the Tennessee shooter a terrorist? I don't understand that. That's bizarre. You must have said something else. I'm not sure. I don't know how I could help. I would love to be able to help you, Alex. See, this is why he keeps giving me these $5 super chats, because he doesn't have Twitter anymore. So he's like, I gotta say something to somebody. Can you DM? Why don't you DM me and we'll talk about what you want to do, because I don't know how to help you on Twitter if you've been banned. I wish I could call Elon Musk personally, but I don't have that phone number, unfortunately. You know what's really annoying is Elon Musk responds to a lot of my friends on Twitter, and he doesn't respond to me. And back when Donald Trump was on Twitter, I would get my friends would get like retweeted by Donald Trump and stuff. I never got retweeted by Donald Trump. So I don't know why the big dogs, they don't really they don't pay attention to me. For some reason, I'm kind of under the radar, I feel like. Alt rock lover writes, repeal 1965 Immigration Act, problem solved. Okay, I love that idea. There's a few things that I would repeal. We need to get rid of all affirmative action. I like this Immigration Act thing. I think we need to bring back insane asylums. There's a few things that I would do if I had power over what happens in America. All right. Eric Wrights comes back. Thanks to Eric Wrights. $5.73. Such a weird numbers. 1776. You know what that is? 1337 equals old internet speak for a nerd. Oh, interesting. 1237 is the number of delegates Trump needed for the nod in 2016. And 573 equals lucky in JP. Lucky in JP. I don't know what that means. Jordan Peterson? I don't know. I know what 1776 is the year. I don't know what you're referencing. I assume you're referencing the year. All right. Wicked Felina is back again. Wicked Felina writes, Brits are noticing that every politician does the bidding of the WEF. Oh, are you British? Wicked Felina. I would like to visit the UK again. I lived there for a year. I've been many times. And I miss it. There's something about England and the UK generally that is just very charming. Even London, but you just got to avoid the sort of nasty places in London. London can be a little bit not so good, but in general, it's a very, very charming place. I used to go to Portobello Market and buy like antiques and stuff, like little tiny trinkets, nothing really significant, but I miss England. My grandfather's Scottish, so I want to visit Scotland and see where my ancestors used to live. I've never been to Scotland. She goes on. She says, Brits are noticing that every politician does the bidding of the WEF, just like our politicians. Okay, so you're not British. You're just saying that you're noticing that the British seem to be noticing that. They are all bought, save for Donald J. Trump. Only God can help us now. I would disagree. I don't think they're all bought. I would say they're sort of like 75% bought. I think that there is, and I think that there's varying degrees by which these politicians are owned. I don't think that they're all entirely bought and paid for. I think some of them are sort of still being leased, I guess. So I do think there is I'm a little bit more optimistic than you, but not much, unfortunately. Robert Sparkman came in and he writes, Mr. R, is Biden woke or just a grifter? Biden is a puppet. He's, of course, a con artist. He's been taking bribes for years. He just gets into a position where he has power and then he takes money from people. And he says, yeah, I'll do your bidding, whatever it is that you want. So he's a grifter. He's a con man. But at this point, I think he's so compromised that he's being controlled by like 10 different entities. I think Biden is the ultimate puppet president. That's what I think. So I don't think that he's woke at all. I think that he is completely at the mercy of whoever it is that is controlling him. Double D Homestead comes back. Hey, Double D Homestead. She writes, we the people cannot afford the insane asylums. Every Dem, including Fetterman, would be in it. That's actually pretty funny, especially considering the video that I just made. I can't wait to post this video. I want to post it right now. Okay, we're going to post it tomorrow morning. And everybody's got to subscribe to my Alpha Critic channel because I'm trying to build that channel and it is so slow and difficult. And I'm also going to be posting some stuff on Mr. Pagan, so you guys are up for a lot of content coming up. MK, and I think that it's supposed to be like MK. MK writes, DeSantis voted a lot of interesting places so far. Wait. Me no learn to read. Okay. DeSantis visited a lot of interesting places so far this year, not in Florida, including D.C., Israel, and London, before his boring announcement today. I don't know what that means. Oh, I know what that means. That means that you're saying that he was visiting people who could potentially be controlling him. I mean, look, I didn't used to believe any kind of this conspiracy theory stuff. I would always just dismiss it. But the more I've looked into this stuff, you may have a point, MK. Alex McMeekin is back. And he writes, I can't even DM from my company account, but I was able to post a screen share. I'm at Alex McMeekin, and my company is Jam PC Inc. Okay. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is that that guy's selling, he's a fan of this show, so he must be an awesome dude. I'll look you up. So everybody buy his product. Let's see, Alex McMeekin. Alex McMeekin. Yeah, that's right. All right, I'll follow you. Oh, it says no results. Oh, no, sorry, from Elon Musk. I don't know why I did that. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm now following you back. Alex McMeekin, when justice is a popular vote, only the subservient survive. A very good point, sir. Very good point. Your Twitter is worth following. People should follow you on Twitter. All right, guys. Oh, wait, here we go. Patrick Mewson. I believe he's from Australia or something. There's an A. Maybe, I don't know where it's from. Anyway, $12 from wherever that's from. Ron DeSantis still has a lot of work to do in Florida to make sure the state, to make the state woke-proof. Without DeSantis, Florida could backslide into purple state without Ron's guiding hand. That's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought much about that. Here's why I think that Florida's actually gone strong red, or stronger red. I don't actually think it was DeSantis, although I do think that he is strengthening that red hold. I think it's because Cuban Americans used to be a lot more left-wing. There used to be this play on Cubans in the same way there's a play against Mexicans and black Americans, that the only people that care about you are Democrats, and if you don't vote for Democrats, Republicans are going to make like crappy for you, like they're all bigots and they hate immigrants and all this kind of stuff. We Democrats, we love immigrants. Well, I think Cubans realize that, wait a minute, we're Christian conservatives. So the Democrats, we're not into all this trans crap. We're not into all this stuff. We're going to vote conservative now. And Cubans figured it out. I think Cubans figured it out better than any other group. Any other immigrant group, I mean. Or any other like ethnic minority. Cubans figured it out. They actually woke up. They took the red pill. They all kind of figured it out. And so, like sort of in a flash, Florida went red, right? It just became red because of the Cubans. Maybe it wasn't that fast. It was a sort of slow evolution probably. But Cubans are very, like one of my best friends is Cuban. He actually grew up in New York, but his dad was actually a Cuban immigrant from Cuba. Very good man, and very strong conservative. Like, I would say even more further right than me. Like, he's borderline racist. But not that I think that's a right-wing thing, but what I mean is he's like willing. His wife is black, so he's not really racist. But he's willing to like say anything. If he sees it, he will say it. He does not give a crap. You know what I mean? Like, he does not care about what the social, how he's going to, like, I worry about upsetting people and pissing people off and stuff. Not because, I said something that was politically incorrect or something, but because I genuinely care about people and I don't want people to be upset. He does not care. He's just, all he's for is truth and justice, and that is it. He's very principled. I am as well, but I do kind of care about people's emotions a little bit more, I would say. Probably shouldn't, but I do care. I don't want a leftist, like I don't want a trans person to be sad because I said something mean about them. I've got that humanity still in me. I should probably get rid of that, but let's see here. All right, so we got another super chat from the guy that I can't pronounce the name of. Zatoikis. I think it's Zatoikis Cane Sword. I think that's right. And he writes, the more you look into it, the more it looks back. And you go, and then you go, really? I don't know what you mean. The more you look into it, the more you look into what? Oh, like the deep state and all like the crazy stuff and how some of the conspiracy theories are actually kind of true. Not kind of true, like full on true. Yeah. Yes. Here's the thing. I think January 6th hopefully woke some people up. And I think the 2020 election, I think hopefully woke some people up because there are certain lines that I don't think anybody thought would ever be crossed. Like, how can you do what was done on 2020 in the 2020 election? How can you go after honorable conservatives who protested in January 6th, genuinely peacefully protested? Yeah, there were a few people with these like flags that were whacking cops with helmets on the head that did like no damage to anybody. But, you know, and then CNN only ever shows that, and then they show like some destruction or some litter in a hallway, and they go, look, they trashed the Capitol building. I don't think the Capitol building was trashed by any means. There was a little bit of damage. There were some windows broken. Were those windows broken by agitators, or were they broken by actual Trump supporters? I have my theories. You guys have your theories. But I am absolutely 100% confident that a lot of what happened on January 6th was not just an organic movement by Trump supporters, if you know what I mean. And once you're aware that they're willing to do that kind of stuff, you're aware that they're willing to do just about anything. And so then you start to, because the problem with conspiracy theories is you can go look at them and you can say, any conspiracy theory I see, if it makes any sense, I'm going to believe it. Well, then you're going to be misled the wrong way. You can also say, I'm never going to believe any conspiracy theory because it's all nonsense. Then you're misled the other way, right? So you can be misled one way, you can be misled the other way. The only really good way to do it is to do the research, really try to figure out what the truth is, and sometimes there's some truth in some conspiracy theories, sometimes there's no truth, and sometimes it's totally true. And you got to be able to suss that out. And that can be very, very difficult. And you don't always know who to trust online. So I say remain skeptical, but also remain open-minded, if you can do that. All right, I think that's it for the Super Chats. I think that we're winding down here. We were at about 1,000 live viewers. We're now at about 800. Pretty decent live stream, I would say, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all of your comments. I appreciate everybody listening. And if you're a big DeSantis fan, I'm sorry about what happened today. This was a disaster. This was the Ron DeSantis disaster. And, I feel a little bit bad for Ron DeSantis, but at the end of the day, I don't think he really ever had a chance against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to be our next president of the United States of America. I think everybody needs his support. And I appreciate you guys all watching the show. So, look, let's keep an eye on things. Let's keep an open mind. But at the end of the day, I do really believe that Donald Trump will be our next president. Stay tuned for my video tomorrow morning. That's going to be a really good one. Share it with all your friends. And subscribe to my Alpha Critic channel. All right, until next time, remember, it is not that all liberal friends are ignorant. It's just it's just that they know so much that isn't so. Sorry, I was trying to read the super chat there. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. End broadcast.